Hello there, dreamer, and welcome back to Adventure Dreams, the place where soft winds carry us into peaceful stories, and each night's tale gently lights a path toward rest. I'm Miles, your narrator tonight. Wherever you are, curled up beneath cozy blankets, lying still with the moon outside your window, or slowly drifting toward sleep, I'm so glad you're here. Tonight, we're going on a journey beyond the usual stars. Into a place where imagination is gently crafted and dreams are made one glimmer at a time. This is the story of Max, Lily, Sophie, and Buddy, and how they wandered into the skies and found the Dreamsmith's workshop, a quiet, floating place where forgotten dreams are repaired and new ones are carefully built. There will be glowing stairways, talking tools, floating rooms, and a mystery gently waiting to be solved, all wrapped in the hush of starlight and wonder. So settle in. Close your eyes if you'd like, and let's begin. It all started one evening just after sunset, as Max, Lily, Sophie, and Buddy gathered in their treehouse nestled deep in the whispering woods. The lanterns had just begun to flicker with their soft golden glow. Outside, the breeze carried the scent of pine needles and wild honey. Max was looking at the stars through his little telescope, the same one they used every night to chart imaginary constellations. Lily was sketching the sky, using her favorite blue pencil, the one that always seemed to draw the stars just a little bit brighter. Sophie sat beside a stack of their adventure maps, carefully marking a new path through the great marshmallow valley they'd imagined last week. And Buddy? Buddy had his head resting on Max's foot, ears twitching in a quiet dream of his own. It was a peaceful night, and they didn't expect anything unusual, until the telescope flickered. Not the stars, but the telescope itself. It hummed, just once, with a soft silver glow. "Did you see that?" Max whispered. Sophie looked up. The lens just shimmered. Lily leaned closer. "Look again." Max peered back through the eyepiece, and gasped softly. The stars were no longer where they should be. Instead, he saw a gentle spiral of floating islands, all aglow with golden light, stretching into the sky like a staircase woven from dreams. In the center of the spiral, something pulsed gently. A light, steady and warm, like the heartbeat of a sleeping world. "What is it?" Lily asked, brushing hair from her eyes. Max stepped back from the scope and looked at the others. "I think it's a path," he said. "And I think it wants us to follow." Sophie touched the telescope gently. "It's a dream path," she whispered. "My map is showing it now." She unrolled the parchment, and sure enough, a brand new trail had drawn itself across the page. Glowing faintly, leading from the treehouse into the sky. They looked at each other. No one said, "Should we go?" They all knew the answer. Sophie packed the map. Max grabbed his backpack. Lily took her camera. And Buddy, already wagging, barked softly once and stood by the ladder. And as the lanterns flickered in the night breeze, the four of them stepped into their next dream. The moment Max, Lily, Sophie, and Buddy stepped out onto the treehouse balcony, the air shifted. Not cold. Not warm, just different. The wind rose beneath them, gentle and patient, like a giant invisible hand lifting them up. The floor of the balcony stretched slightly, not wood anymore, but starlight and memory woven into a soft path. It curled upward, becoming a glowing ribbon that spiraled into the night. Above, the floating islands shimmered, some small as teacups, others wide as village greens, all lit with soft hues, lavender, pale gold, and gentle blue. The first island floated just a little above the treetops, shaped like a crescent moon. Tiny golden fireflies danced in its mist. As they stepped onto it, the ribbon behind them folded into mist, disappearing, not with urgency, but with trust. "Welcome," said a soft voice. They looked around. No one in sight. "Over here," the voice chuckled. They turned toward a patch of glowing reeds, where a dragonfly with spectacles and a little apron hovered gently. "I'm Reedley," the dragonfly said, adjusting his glasses. "Keeper of this way station. The Dreamsmith's workshop is farther up the spiral. But you've got to pass the islands of restful tools first." Max raised an eyebrow. "Restful tools?" "Indeed," Reedley said with a wink. "Hammers that hum lullabies, saws that sigh, and screwdrivers that remember stories. Every tool with a soul needs a nap, now and then." Buddy wagged his tail approvingly. Sophie consulted her map. "Looks like we follow the ribbon to each island?" Reedley nodded. "Exactly. But no rush. Each island has a lesson, a gift, or a memory for you. The workshop only opens when you're ready." The friends thanked Reedley and followed the floating path to the next island, which shimmered like a puddle reflecting stars. This one was round and smooth, with soft grass that glowed when touched. In the center sat a workbench, asleep. That's right, the bench was gently snoring. Lily stepped forward. "Excuse me?" The bench gave a soft wheeze and opened a drawer sleepily. Inside were tiny sketches, designs of dream catchers, flying teacups, cozy tree nests. A screwdriver leaned against the side, humming a lullaby to itself. Max touched the bench gently. "Are these your dreams?" The bench sighed in delight. They were. But dreams fade if not shared. Sophie smiled. "Then we'll carry them with us." She took out a small pouch from her satchel and placed the sketches inside. The path lit up again, the next island was ready. But as they stepped away, the screwdriver called out softly, "When you reach the workshop, tell the Dreamsmith, the tools still remember." The ribbon swirled beneath their feet again, lifting them softly toward the next floating world. Far below, the whispering woods faded into mist, and the stars above seemed just a little closer. The third island was unlike the others. Shaped like a sleepy spiral, it gently turned on its own, slowly rotating through the air as if caught in a quiet dream. The spiral path led the friends toward a large, floating toolbox made entirely of shimmering mist and memory. It had no corners, no locks, just soft compartments that opened with thought. All around it, floating in the air, were the most unusual things: sleepy chisels with feather handles, spools of thread made of moonlight, and pencils that wrote by listening. At the center stood a glowing orb with delicate carvings etched along its surface. As the group approached, it pulsed softly, one beat, then another, in a calm, rhythmic lull. "Look at this," Lily said quietly, lifting her camera. "It's recording something." Through the lens, Lily saw flickering shapes in the orb, gentle movements, like old stories replaying themselves. It showed children dreaming of cloud-bouncing contests, of penguins who painted the northern lights, of quiet libraries where books whispered their stories aloud. "This must be the memory loom," Sophie said, stepping closer. "Where old dreams are saved before they fade." Just then, a soft rustling sound came from beneath the orb. A tiny hammer, no bigger than Buddy's paw, shuffled forward wearing a sleepy frown. "Oi," the hammer mumbled. "That orb needs fixing, it does. Been flickering for weeks. But I'm just one tiny tapper, see. Can't reach the stabilizer alone." Max knelt beside the hammer. "Can we help?" The hammer blinked sleepily. "Well, I suppose, if you hold the base, and you," it pointed to Sophie, "give the map a little fold." And the pup, he's good for moral support. Buddy wagged. Together, the four of them helped the hammer steady the orb. As Max gently held the base, Sophie folded her map into a shape that reflected just the right amount of starlight. Lily focused her lens on the carving. And Buddy, tail thumping softly, let out a contented woof. With a gentle tap, the orb's flickering settled into a smooth, calming pulse. The dreams inside shimmered, and began weaving into new patterns. The hammer tipped its head. Much obliged. You've kept a few old dreams alive tonight. Sophie smiled. We're glad to help. And from the orb, a small thread of glowing dreamlight floated out and wrapped around her wrist, forming a quiet bracelet of light. The ribbon path behind them curled forward, unfolding toward the next island. The toolbox misted away in a soft sigh, its tools returning to their slumber. And above them, the stars whispered on. The ribbon floated upward again, carrying Max, Lily, Sophie, and Buddy into a space that felt even softer than before, as though the sky itself had grown thick with clouds made of memories. The fourth island came into view slowly, like a dream forming just before waking. It was shaped like a pillow, enormous and plush, with silvery mist drifting over its curves. Tiny ladders, hammocks, and swings floated gently in the air around it, some carrying sleeping squirrels, others holding teacups that refilled themselves with warm chamomile. They stepped onto the island, and their feet sank slightly, not wet, not cold, but cozy. It's like walking on a bedtime story, Lily said softly. Sophie chuckled. No wonder my map is yawning. Indeed, Sophie's map had gently folded its corners inward, as though preparing for a nap. A rustling sound caught their attention. From a velvet pocket in the center of the island emerged a character unlike any they'd seen before, a patchwork bear, stitched from many colors, wearing tiny spectacles on its nose. Hello there, the bear said in a kind, sleepy voice. I'm Stitchwick, keeper of the comfort zone. Max grinned. Comfort zone? Stitchwick gave a small bow. Where dreams come to rest. You've traveled far, take a moment here. Have some tea. Try the hammock. You'll need your hearts full for what lies ahead. Though they felt fine, something in Stitchwick's voice made them realize how much they did need a pause. Max sat on a swing that swayed by itself. Lily reclined in a bean-shaped nest made of glowing moss. Sophie poured them each a sip of starlight tea, which tasted like vanilla and soft laughter. Buddy sprawled out in a sunbeam that warmed his fur just right. Time didn't pass on this island. It folded, letting them rest without rushing. As they rested, Stitchwick hummed a tune, a gentle melody that wound through the air like drifting feathers. When the song ended, Stitchwick spoke again. Before you go, take this, he said, offering a tiny drawstring pouch. Inside were glimmering threads of color. These are mood stitches, Stitchwick explained. Weave them into what you build. They'll remember this feeling, peace, warmth, togetherness. Lily tucked the pouch into her satchel. Thank you. Stitchwick waved one paw slowly. Tell the Dreamsmith I'm still keeping the embers warm. As they stepped back onto the ribbon, the island gently turned, revealing soft imprints where they had rested, like the sky itself had hugged them for a while. And the stars, they watched in silence. The ribbon now curved upward in wide, graceful loops, carrying them higher than ever before. The air thinned slightly, filled with the scent of old parchment and candle smoke, as though they were rising into a library tucked inside a star. The fifth island came into view gradually. It was shaped like a spiral-bound notebook, open and waiting. Instead of grass or stones, The ground was made of parchment and soft vellum pages that shifted as you stepped, murmuring softly in the voices of dreamers long past. In the center of the island was a gentle glow, a lamp post shaped like a quill pen, its light flickering with ideas. Surrounding it were desks, ink pots, and gentle chairs that rocked themselves, waiting patiently for someone to sit. As they walked forward, words began to appear on the ground beneath their feet. Soft phrases like, "a wish never whispered," and "a story that remembers you." "Is this a writing island?" Max asked. Before anyone could answer, a tall feather with tiny legs trotted toward them. It wore a bow tie and carried a pocket watch. "I'm Quibble," said the feather, nodding politely. "Curator of Lost Thoughts." "Lost Thoughts?" Lily tilted her head. "Yes indeed," Quibble said with a proud puff. "You'd be amazed how many ideas slip away right before someone falls asleep. We collect them here. Tuck them safely into stories, poems, sketches. Keep them warm until someone finds them again." Sophie looked around. "So every page here is someone's forgotten dream?" "Or nearly forgotten," Quibble said. "But not for long. Come, would you each like to leave one behind?" They nodded. Quibble fluttered over to a desk that opened by itself, revealing a smooth blank page for each of them. Max wrote about a cloud that could carry secrets. Lily sketched a lantern that glowed with music. Sophie added a small map, just a corner of one, that led nowhere, yet felt important. Buddy pressed his paw gently to the page, and a soft print appeared, surrounded by golden dust. Quibble beamed. "Beautiful. These will sleep here until someone dreams them again." The quill bowed. "If you see the Dreamsmith, let them know that creativity still hums here." They left the island quietly, carried forward once more by the ever-winding ribbon path. Behind them, the page island closed softly, like a book waiting on a bedside table. And ahead, glowing gently in the distance, another island awaited. The sixth island appeared through a soft mist that smelled faintly of cinnamon and driftwood. It spun slowly, revealing a shimmering surface that looked almost like glass, but softer, like polished moonlight. As they stepped onto it, their reflections rose gently off the ground, standing beside them as shimmering echoes, not quite mirrors, but quiet companions showing how they felt inside. Max's reflection twinkled with sparks of curiosity. Lily's shimmered with creativity and wonder. Sophie's glowed with calm and clarity. Buddy's wiggled joyfully, tail blur echoing like laughter on water. "Whoa," Max whispered. "What is this place?" A mellow voice drifted from a small pool at the center. "This is the island of inner echoes." From the pool rose a figure made entirely of liquid light, like someone carved from starlit water. They wore a loose shawl made of woven silence and had a face that seemed to shift gently, not hiding, just changing. "I am Mirio," the figure said, "the listener. I care for the echoes of your feelings, the ones you don't always say out loud." Sophie stepped forward, quietly curious. "So these reflections show how we feel?" Mirio nodded. "Yes. Emotions often whisper instead of shout. This place helps you hear them." Buddy barked gently and his reflection wagged faster. Max looked at his flickering reflection. "So this sparkle, is that my curiosity?" Mirio smiled. "Yes. You wonder, even when you don't realize you are. That wondering is a gift." Lily leaned in to see hers. "Mine looks like it's painting the stars." "It is," Mirio said softly. "You see stories and things others might miss." The friends took a moment to sit quietly. No tasks, no puzzles, just watching their gentle inner echoes move beside them. And something shifted, not loudly, not suddenly, but with ease. Each of them felt more aligned. Like their hearts and minds were walking side by side. Before they left, Mirio handed them each a clear stone, smooth and weightless. "These are echo stones," Mirio said. "If you ever forget how you're feeling, hold one. It'll show you, softly." The ribbon path opened again, glowing more warmly than before. As they floated upward, the reflections waved goodbye, and slowly returned to the moonlit surface of the island. Behind them, Mirio watched, hand raised in quiet blessing. The ribbon curved upward and into a new band of sky where the stars shimmered in constellations that moved slowly, like sleepy dancers shifting through a quiet dream. Up ahead, the seventh island glowed gently in soft, golden light. It didn't float like the others. It drifted on the back of an enormous sky whale, whose silver fins stretched out like sails, catching invisible winds. The island on its back was small but tidy, shaped like a cozy crescent moon, and lined with tiny archways and portholes that looked into warm, glowing rooms. As they landed, the whale let out a slow, peaceful hum, not loud, just a sound so deep and gentle it made the air feel warmer. "Look at this place," Lily whispered, taking a slow pan with her camera. "It's like a floating inn." From one of the portholes popped the head of a cheerful creature with twinkling eyes and long whiskers, something between a raccoon and a librarian. "Hello, hello," it chirped. "Welcome aboard the Restful Rove. I'm Keeper Pibbit, head of Sky Guest Services." Max gave a small wave. "We're visiting from the ribbon path." "Of course you are." Pibbit beamed. "The Dreamsmith said to expect travelers. Come, come, the whale has prepared quiet rooms for each of you." Sophie raised an eyebrow, amused. "The whale has?" "Oh yes," Pibbit said matter-of-factly. "William is very particular about comfort." Inside, the rooms weren't rooms at all, they were more like cozy nooks tucked into clouds. Each had cushions shaped like planets, shelves filled with warm stories, and lanterns that glowed only when someone was smiling. Buddy was already curled in a round bed shaped like a moon cookie, snoring gently. While the group rested, Pibbit brought a tray of starberry buns and dreamy cider that gave them a soft, weightless feeling in their chests. They sat together on a quiet deck beneath the stars, sipping slowly. "Every traveler on the ribbon needs a pause," Pibbit said, settling beside them. "Not just to rest their feet, but to let their hearts catch up." Lily nodded. "I didn't realize how full my mind had gotten." Max added, "It's nice to just be still for a while." After a time, William gave a soft rumble, a polite signal that it was time to continue. They thanked Pibbit, who tucked a pouch of starberry seeds into Sophie's map pouch. "Plant these in your next dream," he said with a wink. And with that, the ribbon gently unfurled again, lifting them from the whale's back as it dipped into a slow loop through the sky, singing a song only the stars could hear. As the ribbon carried them onward, the sky subtly changed. The stars became a little brighter, the clouds thinner and more feathery, as though they were brushing against the edge of something ancient and kind. The eighth island emerged like a lantern being slowly unveiled, soft golden light radiated from its center, and a quiet breeze carried the faint scent of vanilla, old parchment, and sun-warmed stone. This island was different. It was made entirely of doorways. Tall doors, round doors, tiny doors tucked into the trunks of whispering trees. Some doors floated gently mid-air. Others stood beneath flowering arches, or hung sideways as if they didn't care much for gravity. At the heart of the island stood one grand wooden door shaped like an hourglass, pulsing slowly with a warm, amber glow. Is it locked? Max asked, stepping close. Before anyone could answer, a small figure slid into view from behind a tree. It was a dormouse, literally a tiny mouse wearing a patchwork coat made of doorknobs, hinges, and keys. "Hello." The mouse squeaked. "I'm Tick Whistle, keeper of what-ifs." Lily crouched to greet him. "What-ifs?" Yes, Tick Whistle nodded. "This island holds the paths you didn't take. The dreams you nearly had. The stories that waited just a bit too long to be told." Sophie looked around. Very door is a different version of a dream? Exactly. Tick Whistle beamed. But don't worry, none of them trap you. They just show you glimpses. Whispers. Ideas that once drifted by your mind like leaves on a breeze. Buddy sniffed a round blue door and wagged. It opened with a little pop, revealing a cozy room where everything was upside down, furniture on the ceiling, rain falling upward, and a version of Buddy wearing little flying goggles. Max tried a tall silver door, and for a moment saw himself dancing on a hill made of music notes, laughter tumbling like thunder. Lily opened a narrow pink door, and peered inside to see a world where her camera captured dreams instead of pictures. Each photo floated in mid-air, glowing gently. Sophie chose a weathered wooden door with ivy growing over it. Behind it, she glimpsed a quiet lighthouse on a sea of clouds. A place that felt oddly familiar, like something she'd always meant to build someday. They didn't step through the doors, only looked. The island wasn't about doing. It was about wondering. Tick Whistle clapped his paws. Now then. It's time for your echo thread." He tugged a tiny silver spool from his pocket and handed it to Max. "This thread connects you to all the versions of yourselves you could be. Just in case you need a little reminder of how vast you are." The ribbon returned, wrapping gently around the group. They looked back at the door island as they rose, watching it shimmer beneath them, a library of maybes, drifting quietly in the sky. As they continued their journey, the ribbon dipped low, gliding between cottony cloud banks tinged with lavender and peach. The sky had turned to that magical hour, not quite night, not quite day, where everything glowed softly, as if lit from within. The ninth island revealed itself slowly, like a melody returning to a familiar chorus. This one was circular, wrapped with spiraling steps that led up a gentle hill. At the top sat a workshop, not big or showy, but snug and inviting, with golden light spilling through round windows and the gentle clinking of tools drifting on the breeze. The sign above the crooked wooden door read, "The Dreamsmith's Workshop." Max's eyes widened. "This is it." Sophie adjusted her hat. "The place we've been hearing about this whole time." The door opened before they could knock, and out stepped the Dreamsmith. They weren't what any of them expected. The Dreamsmith looked like a person made from patchwork stardust, flickers of night sky sewn together with threads of dawn. They wore a long apron filled with glowing pencils, coils of ribbon light, and little jars of captured giggles and yawns. "Welcome," they said in a voice that felt like being wrapped in a favorite blanket. "You've traveled far, and gently." Inside the workshop, every surface was covered in pieces of dreams, blueprints for invisible bridges, sketches of floating gardens, half-built memories being polished to a shine. Buddy sniffed a glowing feather sitting on a workbench. It giggled and drifted upward. The Dreamsmith guided them through the space slowly, showing them the different tools of the trade. "This is where dreams are repaired," they explained. "Where tangled thoughts get untangled, and where new ideas get a little extra sparkle before they float down to sleeping minds." Max picked up a prism that shimmered with hundreds of colors. Is this how you send dreams? The Dreamsmith nodded. Sometimes. Other times, we use wish breezes, or bottles of lullaby vapor. Lily noticed a wall covered in shelves, each one held a gently glowing orb with a tag. What are these? She asked. The Dreamsmith smiled. These are unfinished dreams, waiting for the right dreamer to come along. Sophie looked around in quiet wonder. It's peaceful here. It has to be, the Dreamsmith said gently. Dreams are shy creatures. They only grow in kindness. The Dreamsmith opened a small drawer and pulled out 4 velvet pouches. These are for you. Each one held a tiny token made from the journey. A silver key shaped like a question mark, a folded star map, a bottle of whale song, and a floating feather that changed color depending on who held it. These will help guide your dreaming, said the Dreamsmith. Not just when you sleep, but in the daydreams that guide your hearts. The ribbon curled gently around their feet once more. It was time. As they rose from the Dreamsmith's workshop, they looked back one last time. The workshop light stayed on. Just in case someone else needed a place to fix a forgotten dream. The ribbon carried them higher now, above the islands, above even the starlit breezes, into a part of the sky that felt older than time and softer than any lullaby. There was no rush. Just the quiet creak of the ribbon's gentle arc, and the peaceful rhythm of breathing. The friends sat together, wrapped in a hush made from everything they had seen and felt. Max leaned back, arms behind his head. I didn't think the sky could hold this much. It doesn't just hold it, Sophie said quietly, it shares it. Buddy lay curled beside them, his chest rising and falling in that slow, perfect rhythm that only truly sleepy dogs have. His tail gave a small, happy twitch. Lily rested her head on Max's shoulder. You think the Dreamsmith is still building new dreams? Max nodded. Probably. Maybe one of them's floating down to us right now. Above them, the stars formed a spiral, turning so slowly it was barely movement. And within it, the ribbon began to unwind, not to disappear, but to return to the sky it came from, where new paths waited. A quiet voice, warm, familiar, filled the sky. It was Miles, the narrator, returning like a lullaby returning to its final verse. Dear dreamers, Miles said softly, you've wandered far, but gently. Tonight, your heart stretched across skies stitched with wonder, and still, you remained kind, curious, and together. The ribbon lowered them down, not to one of the dream islands, but to the edge of their dreams, the place just before waking, or just after falling asleep. Their gliders faded into mist. The tools they'd gathered tucked themselves quietly away. And all that remained was the sense of soft stillness, and the gentle knowing that they had been part of something beautiful. The sky is wide, Miles whispered. But so are you. Rest now, sweet travelers. Let your thoughts drift like feathers, and your breath soften like moonlight. The Dreamsmith's sky will wait for you, whenever you're ready to float again. Good night, dear listener, and sweet, sweet dreams. The last sounds were soft. The slow swirl of wind through stardust, the quiet murmur of a whale song far below, and the warm breath of friends asleep beside each other, beneath a sky that held every dream.